Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Up in the Air. I'm Dakota Smith, alongside Haley Mitchell, and tonight we have a great show in store.
As always, we'll start off with a market analysis where we'll have an update on the soybean and natural gas futures markets, and then we'll have a climate science lesson where we'll learn what's up with upwelling.
And then I'll take a look at the 8 to 14-day climate outlook for the continental United States. And finally, we'll take a look at what role the American Meteorological Society plays in the weather enterprise.
But first, here's Update in the Air.
A recent study published in Nature Climate Change indicated that bumpier air travel can be expected in the future. The study revealed that an increase of air temperatures over the Atlantic Ocean may increase clear air turbulence. Clear air turbulence is expected to double in frequency and increase by 10 to 40% in intensity. Rising temperatures are expected to impact the stratospheric jet stream and decrease the stabilizing effect it has. Airlines are concerned as clear air turbulence cannot be seen by pilots and can catch crew and passengers off guard and cause injuries. Plans to reroute air travel to avoid areas of increased turbulence are being considered. But for now, I'd fasten your seatbelts.
The rapid growth of the solar power industry over the past decade may have actually done further harm to the global warming situation it was intended to soothe, simply because most of the energy used to manufacture millions of solar panels came from burning fossil fuels. But according to Stanford University researchers, that irony is coming to an end. For the first time since the energy boom started, the electricity generated by all of the world's solar photovoltaic panels last year is estimated to have surpassed the amount of energy going into fabricating more panels. The silicon used for the heart of most panels is created by melting silica rock at 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, requiring a huge amount of electricity commonly produced from coal-fired power plants. But as technology improved, energy input has decreased and the output from the panels has increased, a net positive energy producer. By 2020, the global solar energy industry is expected to pay off its energy debt. This accounting of energy costs and benefits should be applied to any new technology, as well as to energy conservation strategies that have large upfront costs, so that our energy future is no longer up in the air. Next up, we have the market analysis.
Hi, today I'll talk to you about natural gas futures contracts, what a futures contract actually is, some fundamental factors that affect the prices of futures contracts such as the weather, our domestic economy, supply and demand, and power generation, as well as where the June 2013 futures contract prices are at today.
I will also be doing a similar analysis on soybeans, and hopefully by the end of this segment you'll have a better understanding on how these fundamental factors that Brandon presented affect commodity prices in the market.
A futures contract is an agreement to buy or sell a particular commodity or product at a predetermined price in the future. That predetermined price is usually the current market price. The weather has a huge influence on natural gas futures prices. As you can see with the map in front of you, the current one-month temperature outlook for the United States is calling for above normal temperatures in many areas. Above normal temperatures may cause the price of natural gas futures to fall because there will be a decrease in the demand for heating. The United States economy is another important driver of natural gas futures prices. The graph you are currently looking at shows the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index, which is indicative of how 30 of the United States' largest publicly owned company stocks have traded during a single trading day. Currently, this average is on an upward trend, which is indicative of economic growth and may cause natural gas futures prices to rise. In the realm of power generation, it is currently the refueling season for nuclear power plants. As you can see on the graph in front of you, we have actually just recently reached a 5-year high for nuclear capacity outages at just over 15 gigawatts. This loss in energy production from nuclear sources must be made up from other energy sources such as natural gas, which may cause an increase in demand for the commodity. Finally, let's take a look at the working gas and underground storage compared to the 5-year average. Last week's EIA Natural Gas Weekly Storage Report that was released on April 4th indicated a 95 BCF or billion cubic feet withdrawal. This is a very large withdrawal for this time of the year, and large withdrawals such as this have certainly contributed to natural gas storage levels being at the bottom of their 5-year average as indicated on the chart in front of you. As of Monday, April 8th, the June 2013 natural gas futures prices are at $4.11. Now I will turn things over to Tim to talk about soybeans.
Right now, the weather in South America is of most importance because this is where soybean harvesting is currently taking place. Brazil looks to remain dry in the coming days, while Argentina will continue to see wet conditions. Wet conditions could dampen the efforts in Argentina since they are in early stages of harvest, while drier conditions in Brazil will continue to propel their late season harvest. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for South America, we are able to see that temperatures will be slightly below average for harvesting areas in Brazil and Argentina. Prime conditions for harvesting soybeans are drier than average with slightly cooler than normal temperatures. Recent flooding in Argentina may cause for further delays in harvest. Over the past week, La Plata, a suburb of Buenos Aires, which has a dense population of soybean plants, received roughly 16 inches of rain in 2 hours last week. Massive rainfall amounts like this will slow harvest because farmers cannot get their tractors into the fields to harvest the plant. And furthermore, this amount of rain may flood the plant. China, the world's largest importer of soybeans, has had an outbreak of the swine flu. With this outbreak, the demand for soybean and soybean meal will decrease because farmers will be liquidating livestock to help contain any further outbreak. With this liquidation, farmers will not need as much soybean meal to feed livestock, which may cause a decrease in the soybean price. May 2013 soybean future contracts are currently at a price of $13.77, which is down 0.05% from the previous close on Monday, April 8, 2013. Finally, the next time we may see a drastic price change will be on April 10, 2013, when the WASDE report is released. This report shows worldwide supply and demand estimates for a variety of commodities. Supply estimates above expectations may cause a decrease in the price, while supply estimates below expectations may cause the price to rise. For Up in the Air, I am Tim Cunningham.
And I'm Brandon Zapolsky.
When people think of an earthquake, a hazy Southern California skyline often comes to mind. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, 26 urban areas in the U.S. are at risk for significant earthquakes. Only 3 are on the East Coast, but sizable quakes do strike this part of the country.
It was downright jolting at the epicenter, a one-stoplight town in Virginia, and it spread out from there. In fact, look at this. This quake was felt in 22 different states.
And if August 2011 taught us anything, Easterners need to be better prepared for an earthquake. According to EarthGauge.net, there are several actions you should take in the event that an earthquake hits. If you are indoors, don't exit the building. Falling debris may cause serious injury. Instead, lay down on the ground in the middle of the room. On the other hand, if you are outside when the quake hits, find a safe location away from buildings, trees, utility lines, and any other object that could fall, and lay down.
So the next time an earthquake surprises us, make the safe choice and proceed with EarthGauge's tips in mind. For Up in the Air, I'm Tyler Jankowski.
On this edition of All Things Atmospheric, we'll learn about upwelling, an oceanic process that can help drive some weather phenomena like fog along coastal areas.
Upwelling is an ocean process that occurs along the coastlines of major landmasses. As wind blows across the ocean, water at the surface is pushed away from the coast. To balance this process, water from underneath must travel upwards to the surface. The reverse process is called downwelling, where wind blows onshore, pushing the water with it. Eventually, the water will be forced downward due to excess at the surface. Focusing on upwelling, however, we see that the water brought to the surface is cold due to the fact that it came from near the ocean floor where there is an absence of sunlight. Upwelling occurs along any coast of an ocean. The land breeze pushes warm surface water out to sea and cold water rises. The benefits of upwelling deal with the fact that nutrient-rich water is rising. This water helps to support the growth of seaweed and plankton. This allows fish populations to flourish, which in turn drives the fishing industry. Other events that upwelling can cause are fog and sea breezes. To further discuss these effects, let's take a look at San Francisco. San Francisco's famous fog just so happens to be produced by upwelling. The cold water now at the surface cools and moisturizes the air. This then in turn produces fog, which can cover parts of the city. A sea breeze is an event that can cause the fog to move inland. A sea breeze is a wind that is created when the cold water from upwelling reaches the surface, cooling the air above. During the daytime, when the land is warmer than the ocean, This temperature difference will eventually cause a wind to blow towards the land. If there is fog, the wind will push it inland, creating San Francisco's famous foggy weather. As you can see, upwelling is an important process that affects coastlines around the world. Now you know what's up with upwelling. For Up in the Air, I'm Zachary.
Well, spring has finally arrived here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. With the 8 to 14-day outlook, I have great news. Spring is here to stay. Taking a look at the temperature probabilities. As you can see here in the Northeast, we have about average conditions for this time of the year. And up here in the north, however, we have cooler conditions, 60% chance of below average temperatures. Now, this is generally due to our jet stream that's going to dip way down to the south and rise up into the northeast and bring much cooler conditions than average for the center part of our country. And that does not bear well for crops during this early part of the growing season. However, out here in the west, we have very nice conditions, 50% chance of above average temperatures out there. Now, taking a look at precipitation probabilities, it's going to be generally wetter than normal out here in the Midwest, 50% chance of above average precipitation. That's great to hear for those crops, either homegrown or out in the fields. Now, out in the west, we have a similar story to last week in the 8 to 14-day period, drier than average conditions. Now, if we see these conditions persist throughout the coming weeks and coming months, we may see a fire threat develop, so we'll keep our eye on that. So I hope you're all enjoying the weather out there. It's going to continue to stay fairly nice out here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Up next, we have our feature on Weather Enterprise.
Weather sticks its head into everyone's business on a daily basis. Meteorologists spend a lot of time analyzing and predicting the weather. If you are a meteorologist, or if you know of any meteorologists, there is a good chance that they are a member of the American Meteorological Society, or AMS. Founded in 1919, the AMS now includes over 14,000 professionals, students, and weather enthusiasts from across the country. The main goal of the AMS is to promote the advancement of atmospheric science and the related fields of hydrology and oceanography. As you probably saw in a previous episode of Up in the Air, the weather enterprise in the United States is unique in that it is made up of 3 separate sectors, including the academic sector, the public sector, and the private sector. The question remains, how has the weather enterprise in the United States been so successful and competitive with this separation in place?
The answer to that question is good communication. Stemming from recommendations in the Fair Weather Report, the American Meteorological Society serves as a neutral host for meetings between the sectors. The AMS provides a venue where meteorologists working across the field can discuss issues in the enterprise. The AMS holds a meeting once per year, and meteorologists from across the country come together at a sort of meteorological Thanksgiving dinner. A major player at these meetings is the Commission on the Weather and Climate Enterprise, or CWCE. The CWCE is responsible for considering all 3 sectors and making decisions about how the enterprise moves forward. The Commission is composed of several different committees, including the Steering Committee, the Board on Enterprise Planning, and the Board on Enterprise Economic Development, to name a few. The annual meeting allows the Commission to get the most up-to-date information on topics such as improving weather observations, climate change, and wind energy. They use this information to make decisions on which areas to pursue first and going forward, and then make recommendations. The Commission is not limited to making recommendations, however. They also perform services such as writing journal articles for the AMS, organizing town hall meetings in places of interest, and reporting to news media on weather topics. The next AMS meeting is set to be held in Atlanta, Georgia at the beginning of February in 2014. For Up in the Air, I'm Travis Patterson.
And I'm Joel Maruschak.
Well, it's certainly interesting to see how the AMS kind of bridges the gap between the different sectors of the weather and climate enterprise.
In fact, many students on the show have been exposed to these elements by going to the AMS conference sponsored by Penn State.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. I'm Haley Mitchell.
And I'm Dakota Smith. Join us next time Up in the Air.